Welcome to Messiah University's Town Hall on YBTV. I'm Nolan Hogenboom. Tonight we're sitting down with Student Body Vice President Matt Jenkins and Vice President of Student Review Cody Ford to ask them some questions about SGA. Visit any of our social media platforms to submit any questions you may have throughout the show. Join in. Thank you guys very much for being here. Matt, Cody, thank you so much. We're going to start big picture. What is SGA? That's an easy one.
Yeah, I'll tackle that. I want to just say thank you, Nolan, for having us, and thank you, everyone at YBTV, for having us.
Thanks for
always
being here.
love being on this show. So, SGA, we see ourselves as the bridge between students and administration. So, as students, we try to input student perspectives and voices into college procedures and other college decisions, or I guess university now, university decisions that are being made. So, we try to facilitate that dialogue and serve as the representatives for the entire student body.
Sure. So what are each of your respective roles in SGA?
So as a student body vice president, I predominantly help with Student Senate, which is our governance body. So that is what gives all the clubs and organizations their funds for the year. That's what allows for proposals or resolutions, as we call them, to be sent up into college governance in order to make some more institutional changes. So I predominantly handle that role and trying to administrate that and chairing that, in addition to serving on the Community of Educators Senate, which is basically all the educators, so not just professors, but also other staff on campus. They come together and they have kind of a senate as our student senate, and I serve as the student representative in that as well.
All right. How about you, Cody?
Yeah, so my role as Vice President of Student Review, I serve as the chair of the judicial branch of SGA. So I serve as the chair of the Student Review Board, which is a group of 6 students who hear anything from parking appeals, housing appeals, and low-level disciplinary actions that are handled from Residence Live, SSE with Doug Wood, the Association of Students, as well as I serve on the Community Standards Committee, which writes the student handbook, and the community covenant amends that through different aspects. So I serve as a student representative on that committee.
So keeping in mind those responsibilities, why don't both of you walk me through a typical day with the sorts of things that would come up for SGA for you?
I think one of the most important things is looking at the Outlook every morning and knowing what meetings are when.
Right.
Typically on a Monday, try to get through my emails, send them all out, start writing drafts for the Senate emails that need to be sent out before Senate on Thursday, as well as zooming into a couple meetings in the afternoon after classes. So usually Community of Educators, that's every other week on Mondays. So that's about an hour and a half. So that's right after classes. And then we have our SGA cabinet meetings every Monday night at 9. So we'll go with that to close out the day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Parking, housing, and discipline, everybody's favorites.
Oh, yeah, we love it. So my day starts same as Matt's, making sure going through emails, calendars, hearing appeals from students, mostly parking appeals that I received from the week prior, scheduling those with the 6 members of the board, just finding time that we can hear those cases, reaching out to those students, asking for their written appeal statement, and inviting them to join us for a hearing. If it's more of like a Residence Live disciplinary appeal, that's a little bit more rigorous. I'll email the student, email RDs, Doug Wood, the Association of Students, and any other witnesses involved. So typically, that's my week. It depends day by day, just depending on what's coming in. So.
Sure. Well, how about this? We all know that this semester has been, to this point, completely out of the ordinary. And we haven't really experienced anything like, we're all wearing masks, right? So everything's been a little different this year. So with that in mind, what are some challenges that you guys have faced in your position so far?
Yeah, I think with American Night, we kind of ran on 2 premises. The first was mental health. The second was transparency with SGA. Transparency has been easier to achieve, but especially mental health, it's difficult to reach out to students when you don't have that physical connectivity. So that's something that we kind of couldn't see coming into this year, but we're still working on trying to find events and programming and other institutional ways to help students, whether that's partnering with Minds Matter for events or with other clubs and organizations on campus. So that's definitely presenting a unique challenge, and we're hoping to work with other clubs and organizations to overcome that.
Yeah, definitely dealing with student discipline and just everything revolving around COVID. My role is to reach out to students who are in different housings because of COVID violations and just checking on them. I wasn't expecting to have to do that as much as I'm doing now. Just reaching out to them, seeing how they're doing, asking if they anything that we can do as SGA or the administration can do to help them live out their experience in isolation or quarantine better. Just overall trying to bridge gaps so we can ensure that students who are in those situations have better access to mental health care, because being isolated for 2 weeks on your own can be a difficult situation. So just ensuring that those students feel cared for and heard, and that their voices are still accounted for, even though they are separated from the community for a time being.
Yeah. And I guess this is on a slightly lighter note than being in quarantine, but how about the construction on campus? Has that played any sort of role in what you guys are doing this year?
That's sort of on its own domain. It's just getting done at the rate that it's getting done.
Yeah.
Everyone thought it would be done in the summer, but it should be done by the end of this month. So hopefully when we come back in the spring, fingers crossed,
Yeah, looking forward to it.
it'll be done.
Let me touch back on a point that you mentioned a little earlier. Last semester, Matt, you and America ran on a platform of promoting mental health awareness. And you mentioned that, and how you've been working with clubs and Minds Matter and that sort of thing this semester. That's more important now than ever.
Yeah,
so what are some things you've been doing this semester to keep that at
yeah,
the forefront?
One of the main events we held was for RAs, since they're sort of the front lines of mental health. Obviously, the Engel Center on campus can't support the entire student body for the mental health. Their capacity is around 15% of the student body, so we as student leaders need to be the ones taking up the rest of the university's students for that 85%. So we hosted an event for RAs, kind of a de-stress event. We partnered with Minds Matter to do that. In addition, we're looking, well, there are some institutional changes as well. The Engel Center, that is now, counseling is now free for this academic year because of that. So making sure that in administrative decisions like that, working to try to make sure student voices are heard, because we know mental health is very difficult for this year in particular.
Right.
So trying to help the administration understand how specifically how difficult that is, especially for students in quarantine and remote students. So in trying to dialogue with the administration regarding both of those aspects, and how can you stay connected when you're not physically here? I think that's been something that's been on our minds a lot, that we've tried to address and try to make sure there are activities being held that make students that are remote feel engaged still.
Exactly. And Cody, how about you? I did this semester with mental health and everything like that. What are appeals looking like in a time when everybody's a little bit frazzled?
Yeah, so there's not much I can speak on just because of the dealings that I deal with,
Sure.
my work. But a lot of times that students that do, like right now, students feel a lot of stress surrounding COVID, the pandemic, going to college during this time, like the upcoming election. There's a lot weighing down on people, and so that's causing some decisions to be made that don't fall in line with policies and procedures set by the university. So just trying to work with those students who are in those situations to help, one, reconcile them with the university and with the student body in general, and then also just trying to connect with them in a way that makes them still feel heard, and help them overcome those issues that they dealt with, either through connecting them to the Engel Center or connecting them with different organizations on campus that can help them overcome mental health stress, anything along those lines.
Right. Well, we all appreciate it, guys. Back to some more fun stuff. What would you guys say is your favorite part about this job?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think getting to meet all the students and all the administration. The administration is great. So many of them have so amazing life stories and so much experience and wisdom. So it's always great to talk with them and get to hear that. But it's also great getting to talk with students I otherwise wouldn't really interact with. I'm super into the humanities on campus, so with the STEM majors, I never really get to interact with that group of students.
Right.
So I think with Senate and getting to see the diverse representation of all students on campus is something that I definitely enjoy, and being able to stay connected to everyone. I just love that aspect of it.
Yeah, I can definitely echo what Matt said, just have the interaction between the student body in general, and also working with the administration, particularly with SSE, with Doug Wood, Kevin Villegas, Dr. Hanson Kiefer. So they're great. They really care about the student body, like the holistic experience, anything from academics, just like the overall wellness of campus. They're super engaged and want to make sure that we, as students, are enjoying our time here. And then also being able to rendezvous and work with students on campus just to move their concerns, their thoughts, whatever they have, up the ladder to the admin, just to make sure that the student experience on campus is great for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I've just received word that we've got a live question in here from our social media pages, so I'll ask that. What are some specific things that you guys have both accomplished this semester that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I think for me that was GRCs. So that was changing some governance review things at the beginning of the semester. So that means redefining student senate committees, reorganizing kind of the hierarchy within them, and trying to get student senators more involved, increasing the influence that they can have. I'm working on some other GRCs now that we need to start clarifying some things within governance further. So that's some institutional side. I'm currently trying to develop a more sort of recruitment program that we can get done in order to help recruit senators, since that's a big part, an essential part of SGA,
Right.
the Student Senate. And then also helping with the newsletter was another contribution of mine. But
Yeah. So my role is sort of unique into what I have to do. So I don't really have a lot of goals that the rest of the cabinet have, just because my job is so unique in the way that I'm dealing more with like student discipline. But I was just really wanted to make sure that the students that sit on the student review board feel engaged and feel that their work they're doing is important. So just meeting with them on a weekly basis, encouraging them in their work, just thanking them for everything they're doing for our campus has been really important. And also just ensuring that we have the proper training that we can do to move forward and deal with different procedures in a way that is both beneficial for the student and for the university as a whole. So overall, like, that's going forward, going well, and I hope to continue that throughout the rest of the semester and the academic year.
Well, why did you guys both get involved with SGA in the first place?
for myself, it was my first year here. There's a student who was a part of SGA. He was the treasurer or VP of finance at the time. And he told me, hey, I think this is something you would get involved with. So I got involved with the student review board, actually. And then as I progressed through that and I realized how important it was to reconcile students and administration, I wanted to serve in that role more fully. So last year I served as the VP of student review, which Cody's in now. And then as I got involved with SGA more thoroughly, I understand Student Senate better and how essential it is. And I saw some things I thought we could improve and refine.
Yeah.
So I wanted to step into this role to try to make Student Senate the best it can be. That's how I got here.
How about you, Cody?
Yeah, so I've always sort of had a passion for governance in high school. I was in student council. But my first year on campus, which was last year, I went to the activity fair, and Jordan and Tet, the former student body vice president, student body president, reached out to me while I was walking around, and we chatted about it. I was sort of hesitant at first just because I wasn't sure I could handle the load already taking a full course load as a freshman. But they really reached out and they continued to encourage me and just sent like what the impact I could have on campus in SGA. So I decided to apply to be a senator last year. I got accepted. I served on campus engagement. That was a great experience, just connecting with the campus and the students in general. And then through that, they encouraged me to join the executive cabinet, which I applied, and here I am. So it's a great experience, and I've loved every moment of it so far.
Yeah, fantastic. We got another live question coming in. A burning question that has been on, I'm sure, every student's mind this entire semester, and one that you've probably been hearing from all kinds of angles for months now. But can we expect in-room visitation this semester?
I mean, I wish we could give you a definitive answer on that. We are kind of in the same know as the rest of the students. We kind of find out with the emails that come every week
Sure.
on those updates. But I hope we can give you the process of kind of how they reach decisions about these things. So the first is they look at the federal guidelines for colleges and universities, and then they look at the state guidelines for Pennsylvania specifically. Those are the two things they look at first and foremost when deciding how we should advance with different COVID restrictions and guidelines. So the information we were given was to keep aware of those guidelines, see how they're changing, because they are changing
Right.
all the time. And then hopefully our university, depending on how many cases we have and how well we've held to those guidelines, we're able to reach decisions like that. So we can't definitively say, but that's kind of the process that they use to reach such decisions.
We appreciate you guys working on that. Yeah. Connection has been something that's been really difficult for everybody this semester. With the old social distancing, it's hard to be together. But what have you guys done to keep SGA connected to the student body? And I guess Cody, that's one sort of for you in the way that people have been directing their appeals or questions, their issues with Student Review Board.
Yeah, so one of the main ways that we've been able to help connect the student body to SGA, our VP of Communication, Brianna Pye, she's been really great of using our social media platform to really be out there and be present to the student body, like just posting whatever it is she posts, like our profiles, and day in, day out, just sort of giving a face to SGA. So in my experience in the past, it seemed like SGA was sort of like an in the shadows kind of organization. No one really knew what was going on.
Right.
But she's really taken the initiative and gone forward and tried to give a face to SGA, let everyone know what SGA is doing, on a daily basis. We started our newsletter that we just published last month. That sort of details our goals that we had going through the semester, and then just the different workings that we're doing, just to sort of let the student body know what we're doing and how we're actively trying to make campus better for everyone.
And not just campus, but how about remote students as well? I know that's a segment of the population that can occasionally feel underrepresented.
Yeah, so I feel like that's been one of the most difficult aspects of trying to find a way to keep these students still engaged. We really encourage a lot of our clubs and organizations to try and send out newsletters and whatnot to remote students also, inviting them to their Zoom meetings. If they're having in-person meetings, allowing those students to still be able to Zoom in and interact with those different clubs and organizations, and just the different students present at that. A lot of student leaders also are remote, so they sort of had a very vital role in guiding and directing how we're going through like the process of ensuring that virtual students are still able to be connected to campus, even though they may be miles away.
So on that note of connection and getting involved, how can students get involved with SGA if they'd like to?
Student Senate is probably the major way they can get involved. Student Senate's a pretty low requirement. There's only 1 hour and a half meeting every week that's mandatory. There could be assigned duties outside of that, obviously, but at least introduction-wise, that's how you get involved initially. So student senator applications, are going to send those out in lieu of the spring semester before the fall wraps up here in November. So keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye out for an informational video that we hope to send out, kind of giving a brief, 1-minute summary of what SGA is. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and that's how you can get involved pretty soon.
Tell us a little more about Student Senate. What sorts of things do they focus on?
Yeah, so Student Senate has 4 different committees: finance and operations. The committee that kind of gives out the budgets for the year for the clubs and organizations. They have a sort of system to determine which clubs and organizations should continue receiving funding. There's social concerns, which take in student concerns and try to present them to appropriate administration, officials, and departments, specifically offices. Yeah. And then there's operations, which deals with the kind of physical building on campus. So, food, housing, those sort of areas. Cody's actually our committee chair for that this semester. Then lastly, we have campus engagement. So they're the part of Senate that tries to make Senate aware, try to engage students within our community. So if any of those 4 sound interesting to you, feel free to reach out to me at sgavp@messiah.edu. We have openings on all those committees, so if one of those sounds interesting, and they're all so different that I think that every student could find one that they want to get engaged with, please reach out to me. I'd love to sit down and talk to more
Absolutely.
about it.
Get involved, folks. So suppose a group of students wants to start a new club on campus. How would that work? Do they need to go through you guys? Do they need to apply with SGA?
Oh, yeah. So the process of starting a new club on campus, first you want to reach out to our VP of organizations. They'll sort of walk you through the process of what it looks like to become a chartered club on campus. And you'll work with the Student Involvement Leadership Program office just to sort of develop that idea of what your club can do and the group of students you can serve on campus, because we want our clubs on campus to be engaging to everyone, not just a very select group of people. So if you can make sure, if like your club can reach a broad audience, that's one way to ensure that you're going to increase your chances of becoming a club on campus. And just there's a process you have to walk through, formalities that are set up in governance to do that. But after you become chartered, you just work up the process to recognize, and when you're a recognized club, you begin getting your funding from SGA through the student activity fee, and that really allows you to reach an even broader audience and continue to grow.
All right, thanks, guys. We're here with Matt Jenkins and Cody Ford from SGA in our YBTV Town Hall. We'll be right back after this.
It is now officially rebranded as Yellow Reaches TV.
student would want to study the finance major here at Messiah for several reasons. Students here are working and practicing in a setting in our finance lab with technology that they're going to use when they leave here and work in the field. And so our students are certified in Bloomberg. In addition, in several classes, our students are actually performing consulting projects with local financial and investing firms.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me about coming for the finance major here was just the scope that you get in all the different classes. So anything from corporate finance to portfolio management and security analysis, you touch on everything. Getting into investment club was something I really was looking forward to coming here to Messiah. I knew from very early on I wanted to get involved.
There's nothing wrong with going out, being successful, making money, but not allowing money to have a higher place in your life than God. So our goal is to get our students started off on their career path quicker and better positioned than any of their peers.
I'm PJ Rydell, here with this week's campus calendar. Because of COVID-19, there aren't many events going on around campus, but there are still a few important events to keep in mind. Registration for spring 2021 semester are fast approaching. If you plan to be here for the spring semester, you should be meeting with your advisor in the next 2 weeks to discuss your spring class schedule. Don't forget to fill out your advisor evaluation form, or you will not be allowed to register for courses once registration opens. For more registration details, talk to your advisor or access registration information on the Falcon link. Tomorrow is Election Day. In recognition of how important this election is, there will be a live feed of the election results as they come in the Union, all day for students to gather and watch as the day unfolds. If you plan to view the feed at any point, please keep in mind that the COVID guidelines will be in place and space will be limited. While circumstances still can't allow for our usual chapel experience, Campus Ministries is still working to provide numerous great opportunities for you to plug in. On Tuesday morning, you can tune into Virtual Chapel as Grantham BIC Pastor David Flowers presents Third Way Politics. On Wednesday will be a devotional on Mark chapter 9, verses 14 through 29 with David Flowers. And on Thursday is the second wave of Zoom Sixers. Or you can tune into the Campus Ministries podcast with David Flowers. On Wednesday, November 4th, the Career and Professional Development Center is hosting their virtual internship and career expo on Zoom from 11 o'clock to 2 p.m. The event will have over 60 companies and organizations who are hiring full-time, part-time, and seasonal positions and internships. The Career Center recommends you have your Handshake profile set up and have a resume uploaded beforehand to help you stand out from the rest of the event. The link to register for the event at no cost can be found at messiah.edu/career under the Upcoming Events tab. Also on November 4th, Student Ministries is hosting their final prayer walk of the semester at 7:30 p.m. The prayer outreach team will be there to pray over the final weeks of the semester, the uncertainty of 2021, and whatever else is on the hearts and minds of students. Join them at Legacy Park at 7:30 p.m. for a night of worship and prayer. And if you haven't gotten a chance to see the theater department's performance of The Birds, there's still time left. Tonight and tomorrow night are their final performances of the Ancient Greek comedy. You can view the show at 8 o'clock p.m. both tonight and tomorrow on Messiah's live stream portal. That's all we have for this week's campus calendar. I'm PJ Rydell.
You're watching YBTV.
And we're back here with SGA on the YBTV Town Hall tonight with Vice President Matt Jenkins and VP of Student Review Cody Ford. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. Suppose someone wants to run in the spring for SGA President and VP like you did last spring. What do they need to do for that?
Yeah, so in about the end of February, you should be getting a mass email asking for students who want to run. So there's kind of three parts to that. There's some biographical information, there's a resume you need to submit, and then each candidate, both president and VP, needs to collect 200 signatures before you complete that process. You'll meet with, there's a committee for the elections committee that falls under SGA, comprised of senators, and they will actually be the ones to review all of that information, make sure you're good to go, and they'll provide you with additional information before you get to debate on the town hall night that we have in March every year. Yeah.
Is there anything specific that should be on our radar that students could be looking forward to from you guys next semester?
Hopefully Senate will be a lot more accessible. I know with Zoom it's really difficult to get students who aren't a part of SGA engaged in Senate just because people don't want to get on a Zoom call if they don't have to.
Yeah, especially right now, yeah.
So I think making that more open and available for students is going to be something I want to do. That way we can hopefully help get more students engaged in Senate who aren't already a part of it.
Yeah, I know something that I'm working on recently has just been trying to navigate what it looks like to deal with the mental health and just caring for students in quarantine and in isolation, just dealing with separation, how we can better care for those students in those situations. Just because, like I said before, it could be very stressful, can bring a lot of anxiety just being separated from community for so long. So just navigating how we can better care for those students in those situations even more so than we're doing now.
You guys mentioned earlier you poli-sci major and you were a triple major. Incredible. How has SGA helped prepare you guys for the next steps that you want to take?
Yeah,
That's a live question, by the way, from our social media pages. Thank you for submitting that.
Yeah, thank you for that. So with SGA, all of our cabinet positions are part of the ELI requirement program. So we need to have professional development goals that we have at the beginning of the semester and that we try to achieve throughout the course of the whole academic year. So I think, especially in being SGA in my second year, I've seen how much I've grown professionally from my position as VP Student Review last year to now. So I can see very clearly how it's helped me become a lot more organized with emails, trying to stay on top of them, as well as helping to become better at speaking in front of individuals and trying, especially with Senate, where you have 30, 40 students at some days. That's definitely helped me professionally in that sense as well.
Yeah, definitely, like Matt said, just developing leadership goals and just professional experience. Working, like in my position, I work with a lot of different administrators, and just having that professional communication back and forth that I honestly didn't know really how to use Outlook before I started this position. But now I'm scheduling meetings, I'm sending calendar appointments, I'm like sending emails back and forth with all different kinds of things on there that I never really knew how to do before starting this position. So it really develops you into a leader as well as a professional, because not only we are paid for these jobs, this is our job on campus. So it really develops your professional skills to better you as you leave college, go into the workplace. You're going to have skills that you can use there that you could really outshine some of your competitors and gives you a good edge.
Sure. Looking forward into the next semester again, what are some things that you guys would like to accomplish that you haven't been able to yet?
Right. So for myself, I think working towards the end of this semester is going to be senator recruitment. So I really want to get 15 more senators ideally into Student Senate, so that way we have a vibrant community that's able to engage and institutionally improve the university throughout the next 4 years. Because when you're a senator for the rest of your time at Messiah.
Sure.
So just getting recruited initially is very important. And as you build up on the experience of being a senator and seeing the vast array of things that SGA can do, I really want to help get especially first-year students engaged in that.
Yeah, I think just continuing the work that I'm doing now is going to be something that's super important. Just finding ways to connect with students who find themselves in situations that they need to have some sort of disciplinary hearing. Just continue to connect with those students, and like Matt said, finding retention. Student Review Board, we recruit every year. You had to reapply yearly, so it's a rotation. If you get in, you're on the board for the year. You had to reapply. So just trying to keep students engaged in that position. Recruiting first-year students in the fall is also something that's really important. So if I have a strong base of upperclassmen, they can go out and help me recruit for the first-year student come the fall semester of next year, or whoever fills this position in the future.
Sure. Well, we got another live question coming in from our social media pages. Thank you for submitting that. There was a rumor about getting microwaves for residence halls. What fun. Have there been any developments on that front?
Yeah. So in SGA, when you have your student activity fee, any funds that aren't used throughout the semester go to our capital purchase fund. And because our semester ended early last year, we had a large sum of money in that fund that we could use. So through Senate proposals, we reach out to different clubs, organizations, offices, and students on campus, and they submit capital purchase requests. And then through that process, they are prioritized. And one of those requests were microwaves on every single floor across campus. And that was approved. So in the near future, those should be coming in. Senate did approve those purchases, so now it's just actually purchasing all the microwaves that we need and getting them put on the floors.
I'll tell you, I appreciate that one. I remember the first week of school, I came out to the lounge with my leftovers from the union that morning or whatever, and I went out and I was like, oh, I can just heat them up, and then there was no microwave.
Yeah.
But I will be able to do that in the future. That's fantastic news. So thank you guys for that. So as we near the end of what has been, again, a very different semester, what message do you guys have for the student body?
is stay optimistic. You know, we've been doing so great as a university, especially for a university of our size. We haven't really had that many cases relative to other universities. So just stay optimistic. We're doing so great. We just got to keep it up. And we see the rewards and the fruits of that, you know, with apartment visitation increasing over this past weekend and going forward. So just keep it up. We're doing wonderful, and we're going to make it the rest of the way, and we're going to make it all the way through next semester too.
Yeah, I think just being resilient. We're facing a difficult time that we've never really faced before. So just continuing to be strong and upholding the values that we've held before, and just continuing to live a life that is Christ preeminent, and remembering that even though like these are unseen times and we don't really know what we're doing, just continuing to listen to guidance that we're given, because ultimately the university wants to keep us here and keep us safe and healthy. So just continuing to abide by their guidelines, I think, is something that's really important to ensure that, one, we stay healthy, two, we stay open, because that's the ultimate goal that we all have here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in to Messiah University's Town Hall. Again, a very special thank you to Vice President Matt Jenkins and VP of Student Review Cody Ford for being here to answer these questions. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. And for all the fantastic crew here at YBTV, I'm Nolan Hogenboom. Have an excellent night.